Next, we have citizens' comments and discussion, which will be heard at this time and shall be limited to a total of 15 minutes, which may be increased by discretion of the chair or by a motion approved by a majority of the council members present at the meeting. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to come up and speak? Maynard, I think you know the drill. You got your name signed in.
I don't have it signed in yet, Mayor, but I'll get it signed in.
If you could just state your name for the record.
Maynard Howell. I'm the fire chief for Robertson Fire Protection District. I think most of you know me. First off, I wanted to say that as of today at 5 o'clock, we have not received a check from the city of Hazelwood. That check is due monthly, and we have not received it. It should be for $376,816.50. And again, we have not received it. And in Judge Wally, when he agreed with the city and the fire district about paying monthly, Mr. O'Keefe stated that he would make sure that the city paid monthly until he ruled on this case. Secondly, I would also like to bring up something I just got in the mail yesterday about 4801 Tradeport. It's a $35 million project that's going to be built in the city of Hazelwood. I talked to our accountant today. That would bring in approximately $295,000 to Robertson Fire District that we won't get because it's a TIF. Although it was sent to late 70, we should get it. So I wanted to bring that to the council's attention. Back to the check and not getting paid. It's only going to cause more problems between the city and the fire district because it's going to force us to go back to court. And the only ones that win on that are the attorneys, both on your side and on our side. They're the only ones that win out of this. They're the ones that get paid all the time. Hazelwood's losing, we're losing. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Obviously, the biggest question that has been posed by Chief Howell and some of the residents is the question of the interim payment by the city of Hazelwood to the fire district. I think it's important to get a little context, so if you'll excuse me, I'll try to do that. In early 2019, late 2018, the city and the district met and tried to make some progress in their differences and entered into an agreement whereby the city would pay the district $4 million a year in monthly installments, which we did throughout 2019. At the end of 2019, this was more than 90% of what the district would have received through its standard fee arrangement. During late 2019, the district complained that these funds were inadequate and demanded that the amounts be increased. The mediator, who was involved in the discussions between the parties, engaged independent accountants to review the books of the city of Hazelwood and the fire district and provide that information both to the district and the city. The independent accountants identified that the city of Hazelwood could not continue to make payments at the amount demanded by the fire district, or would inevitably and quickly be insolvent. The district agreed to extend, finally, after much discussion, agreed to extend the terms from 2019 into 2020. No progress was made between the parties concerning some way to readjust the long-term circumstances between the parties, because the inevitable course of the payments required by Robertson and the funds available to Hazelwood is the city's insolvency. The need to readjust that circumstance in some way was admitted by the district and urged by the city. The district, however, agreed to no alternative arrangements going forward. In desperation to find some way to break this logjam and to create some new opportunity or a restructuring, the city said that we were going to resubmit the proposal to the voters of the Robertson service area to create a neighborhood improvement district and use that to fund part of the payments required from the city to Hazelwood. We asked the district to support this, as it was the way in which the price to the residents could be most substantially reduced. The district refused to do that. Instead, the district unilaterally announced in May or June of 2020 that it intended to unilaterally pursue annexation of that area back into the fire district so that the district could levy their taxes directly on the property in the service area. The district did not ask the city to support this endeavor. The district did not consult with the city before initiating that process. And the district unilaterally decided to initiate the annexation effort. In order to do so, they went out and collected signatures of registered voters in the area, collected 700 of them by the fall. The city's only response to this effort was it would be cheaper if you would support the NID proposition. It would be less expensive to the residents and taxpayers. The district refused again to do so. In that case, we told the district, well, if you're going to do it, get on with it, because the city's going to run out of money. And if we're going to do something. If somebody wants to put a proposition to the voters, do it quickly before the city runs out of money and goes bankrupt. In the fall, and we asked them if they're going to do this, please time it to do this in November election so that we will not get into 2021 with this continuing obligation that the city cannot sustain. The district declined to seek this on the November election, thinking it was improved. They had their judgment, and that's their choice because it was their proposition. They collected the signatures and told the city, we've got the signatures to get this on the ballot, and we're prepared to put this on the April 2021 ballot. But we won't do it unless you pay us more money. So their proposal to ask the voters to annex, which they unilaterally started, they held hostage unless the city agreed to increase its annual payment from $4 million to approximately $4.5 million. In doing so, they said, we're running out of money, the district said. We have to have these funds. Eventually, we came to an agreement whereby the city would pay the $4.5 million in monthly installments beginning in January 2021 of, as the chief said, approximately $376,000 a month. I want to read to you from the letter memorializing this agreement from the fire district. If the annexation is approved by the voters on April 6th, the city will pay the balance of the 2020 fees in a lump sum payment at the point that the election results are certified and the time for filing an election contest has passed with no challenge to the result. Now, we're already paying them the full amount, $376,000 a month, $4.5 million. But the rest of the year would be prepaid if the annexation proposition passed. Then the district said, in the event the voters do not approve the annexation, the Robertson Fire Protection District will file for annexation in the August election on the same terms. That is, monthly payments of 1/12 the amount owed and payment in full when the election is final. Immediately after the election, the district informed us that it would not keep that promise, that it would not ever submit another annexation proposal of any sort to the voters in the Hazelwood, in the Robertson service area. So if Robertson's question is, why have the monthly payments stopped? It is because Robertson said they will continue after the April election if the district submits an annexation proposal, which the district chose not to do. So the agreement between the parties was breached and terminated by Robertson. The other information that came to the city at roughly the same time following the April election is pertinent to another statement that the district has made periodically and is memorialized in their letter of agreement. Robertson used all of its general revenue reserves in fulfilling its financial obligations in 2020. At the end of June 2021, Robertson's 2020 calendar year audited fiscal statement, financial statement, was filed with the state of Missouri, and the city received a copy at the end of June. On page 7 of that report and page 8, the auditor for the district makes the following statements. The district's net position increased by $1,522,375 during the year ended December 31, 2020. Once a temporary agreement with Hazelwood was reached for 2019, the district was able to pay expenses that were deferred in 2018. In other words, all the district's obligations, everything they wanted to do, they fund and had deferred, they funded.
With $4 million.
With the $4 million that the city paid and not the 4.5. The auditor also states the fund balance in the general fund increased in 2020. This was due to the increase in tax revenue as well as the city of Hazelwood paying service fees in line with the service agreement in 2020. The ambulance fund in balance increased in 2020 due to the increase in tax revenue as well as Hazelwood paying service fees in line with the service agreement in 2020. The pension fund expenditures exceeded because the district paid pension contributions suspended in prior years. The debt service fund increased its balance as a result of the tax receipt and contract fees exceeding bond payments. That is at the reduced 2020 payments of $333,000 a month. So the district increased its net position by $1.5 million. Their statement that they exhausted their reserves or required the increased revenue is belied by their auditor's financial statement. With respect to complaints about economic development incentives, I think it is important to bear in mind that the non-residential areas served by Robertson, both in its own district and in the Hazelwood area in Hazelwood served, constitutes, the non-residential areas of which they're complaining about economic development activities currently provide 89% of the revenue received by the district. Residential property accounts for 11%. So with the economic development activities which the city has engaged, the district still continues to receive 89% of its revenue as a result of the value of property enhanced by the economic development activities in the area served by Robertson. With regard to the question of whether or not, I think it's already been answered, can the city levy a earnings tax? The answer is categorically no. In fact, the only cities authorized to do that in the state of Missouri are Kansas City and St. Louis. An amendment was passed requiring them to resubmit that to the voters every 5 years, which the city of St. Louis has done and the voters have retained. But no other community in the state of Missouri is authorized to do that. The question of the city not sending the checks to Hazelwood, to Robertson in a timely manner, and this infers not allowing employees to get paid, if I understood the import of Mr. Zamudo's question. The city does not tell Robertson what reserves or funds to use to pay their employees or how and when they do that. That's a Robertson choice. But please bear in mind that Robertson's position increased by $1.5 million while the city was paying $4 million a year. And for the last 6 months, we've been paying them at the rate of $4.5 million on an annual basis. With respect to the notice that the district received concerning economic development activities, the program that's at issue and for which the district received the courtesy notice will be discussed later in details. Anyone that's still awake is welcome to listen to it, and we'll explain it as best can be. But the fact of the matter is that for 25 years, the area served in Hazelwood by Robertson is not within the taxing jurisdiction of the Robertson Fire Protection District. They are not a taxing entity in that area. If they were, you would be paying taxes to them. So I think it is self-evident that they are not.
And their own attorney has acknowledged that in court.
I believe that answers the questions as I understand. Thank you, Gary.